Hi, what's up guys? Assalamualaikum and a very good evening. So in this video, we are going to cover about action potential. In previous lesson, we have covered about resting potential. When the axon is not transmitting any impulse, we can say that our axon, okay, or actually it is not actually referred to axon, it can refer to any cells, tapi kita focus on nerve cell or the neuron here. What happened to the axon of that neuron? Okay, itu yang kita fokus. Okay, so when at resting potential, the membrane potential of the axon is not transmitting any impulse, so we know that the inside of the axon is more negative by negative 70 millivolt compared to outside. Okay, maksudnya kat dalam axon lebih negatif ataupun less positive compared to outside. Okay, because of the unequal distribution of ions kat situ yang menyebabkan the reading. Okay, when we let's say we put two electrode outside and inside. Okay, the reading that we will get is negative 70, meaning that inside is more negative compared to outside. Okay, and then in this video we are going to cover about what happens if stimulus arrive. When stimulus arrive, okay, when it capable to reach threshold level that we are going to cover later on, okay, it will lead to the action potential. Okay, action potential, it is the sudden change in electrical potential, meaning that perubahan ketara pada bacaan potential or membrane potential across cell during transmission of impulse. Okay, action potential ni dia perubahan ketara pada electrical charge when impulse is transmitted along axon and also along, not necessarily axon, it could be another cells juga. Bukanlah semata-mata kita fokus on neuron. Nak kata action potential or resting potential, dia berlaku dalam semua sel dalam badan kita when they receive impulse. Okay, so what will happen? Okay, sebelum kita proceed to the action potential, we are going to recap about the types of ion channel yang sangat penting, yang mana you are going to use dalam topik ni sangat banyaklah types of ion channel. Okay, so kalau tengok contoh kat sini ada lima jenis ion channel yang involved. Okay, yang ada, dan tapi kita tak pakai semualah. Okay, the first one is, kita akan tengok the first one is ligand gated. Meaning that the flow of ion into or out to ataupun into or outflow of the ion is because of the ligand. Kat sini ligand refer to chemical. So meaning that the ion can ataupun kita nak kata channel kat sini will only open when there is a chemical involved. The chemical tu akan menjadi gate. Okay, akan menjadi, nak kata bukanlah gate, kita nak kata sebagai kunci kepada pintu untuk membuka laluan kepada ions tu. Okay, that is ligand gated, daripada nama dia lah ligand, which is chemical that will induce the opening of the channel so that ions can flow. Okay, the second one is mechanical, which is due to the pressure, yang mana kita takkan cover pun dalam topik ni. Okay, next adalah the third one is always open. Always open ni, okay, sebenarnya kat dalam buku awak ni dia pakai istilah non-voltage gated channel. Okay, non-voltage gated channel meaning that it will always open whether there is a voltage ataupun there is impulse or there is no impulse. Ada impulse ataupun tak ada impulse, okay, it still can open. Okay, dia tak perlukan inducer untuk buka atau tutup. Okay, and then second one, the last one is voltage gated. Okay, voltage gated ni yang kita akan pakai dalam action potential ni. Okay, voltage gated ni ataupun kita nak kata voltage gated channel, yang mana saya akan guna sebagai VG channel. Okay, voltage gated channel. Okay, yang mana kita akan guna dua jenis. Yang pertama voltage gated sodium channel and voltage gated potassium channel. So ada dua daripada voltage gated and untuk always open or the non-voltage gated channel ni, okay, yang mana dia tak perlukan impulse, dia still akan terbuka. Kita kita akan guna dua, which is sodium channel and potassium channel. Okay, nampak tak beza dia? Untuk voltage gated kita ada tambahan pada nama dia, voltage gated sodium or voltage gated potassium channel. Tapi kalau untuk non voltage gated ni, kita tak gunakan nama dia depan dia. Non voltage kita tak guna, dia bezakan. And then the last one is sodium potassium pump. Sodium potassium pump ni dia akan involve sekali dengan always open ni, yang mana dia akan sentiasa involved, meaning that it always active whether or not there is voltage or not. Okay, so dia sama juga kategori always open. Alright, so kita tengok types of channel, ion channel ni. Yang pertama adalah sodium potassium pump. Okay, kita dah cover. The second one is non-voltage gated channel yang tadi. So it is passive ion channel. Maksudnya the movement of ion is from higher concentration to lower concentration. Berbanding pula dengan sodium potassium pump. So sodium potassium pump yang gambar bawah ni, okay, it is a pump which involve active transport. So active transport bermaksud the movement of ion is from lower concentration to higher concentration, or it against concentration gradient. Okay, beza. Okay, and then the third one is voltage gated channel. Voltage gated channel ni, it means that the channel will only open when there is a impulse. Okay, so ada dua nama dia yang tadi kita dah cover, voltage gated sodium channel and voltage gated potassium channel. And then kat sini untuk nombor 2 dan 3 ni kita akan kata the form of transport is passive. Passive transport, meaning that the concentration of ion from higher concentration to lower concentration. Okay, to lower concentration. Okay, so lagi satu you should bear that in mind. Okay, yang mana untuk resting potential yang akan open adalah untuk resting potential yang akan open adalah number 1 and number 2. This is for resting potential. Okay, yang mana kita akan discuss. Tetapi kalau dalam action potential lepas ni, yang kita akan discuss adalah nombor 3 sahaja. Okay, Miss buka tak nombor 1, nombor 2 ni, buka tak masa action potential dia? Sebab it is always open, so dia still lagi buka. Tapi kita tak ceritakan dia sebab kita nak fokus on number 3, okay? Saya harap boleh follow. Alright, so kita tengok this is action potential, yang mana this is the summary from Campbell. Tapi saya akan chunk-kan dia. Saya dah cut supaya kita boleh nampak what happened. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4 and number 5. Okay, so this is the graph that you should know very clearly about action potential. Kita akan guna graph ni sangat banyak. Okay, so kita tengok pertama daripada number 1. Number 1 is resting potential. Okay, number 1 kat sini adalah resting state ataupun resting potential. Axon membrane ketika itu adalah pada keadaan resting potential. Okay, so kita tahu dia punya ketika resting potential, it is negative. Pen saya kenapa warna kuning? It is negative 70 millivolt. Okay, then dia akan menaik kat sini. Nak kata it will undergo sudden change here, which is from number 1 become number 2. What induced the sudden change here? Here is impulse. Impulse arrive. So impulse arrive will drive number 2, which is depolarization. And depolarization, okay, depolarization, if it can reach this level, okay, dipanggil threshold level. Threshold level is basically minimum level required by kita nak kata it is the minimum level required so that it can generate immediately action potential. Lead to number 3. Okay, the rising phase of action potential. So kalau depolarization is strong enough or impulse ni strong enough to lead the depolarization can reach threshold level, it will immediately spike, akan terus menaik, lead to action potential. Okay, after action potential generated, okay, ada pula the fourth phase which is repolarization yang dipanggil juga sebagai falling phase of action potential. Dia mula menurun balik. And then last one adalah undershoot, which is number 5 here. Undershoot meaning that kat sini the membrane of axon, okay, membrane of cells, dia kira nak kata kat sini dia become more negative than resting state. Okay, then resting stage tu yang mana dia more negative, more than negative 70 millivolt. Okay, so kita tengok one by one. Okay, number one, resting state. Resting state ni sama juga dengan resting potential. Okay, kita dah cover pasal membrane. Okay, so kalau kita tengok kat sini number one, yang mana it is negative 70 millivolt. Okay, kalau kita talk about non-voltage gated, yang mana dia adalah sodium channel and potassium channel. Okay, dia buka. And then lagi yang buka adalah sodium, potassium, so ni buka. Okay, non-voltage gated, dia buka. And then apa pula berlaku ketika ini? Ketika waktu ni kepada voltage gated. Okay, voltage gated ni yang kita tengah cerita ni, voltage gated. Voltage gated ni kita boleh bahagikan kepada dua. Voltage gated sodium channel, ini saya recall balik yang kita dah cover tadi, and then the second one is voltage gated potassium channel. So apa yang berlaku ketika ini? Resting state, dia tutup dan tutup semasa resting. Ya, sebab apa? Tadi impulse, there is no impulse. So kita dah kata voltage gated will be closed. Alright, then kita proceed. What happened at number 2, which is depolarization. Okay, so depolarization start when stimulus arrive. So awak buat arrow kat sini, stimulus. Okay, so before we proceed, okay, saya nak you guys imagine that the line here represent axon membrane. Okay, apa? Axon membrane. So space kat bawah ni kita refer kepada axon, and space yang kat luar ni sebagai outside axon. So kita boleh mudahlah nak cerita nanti pergerakan masuk dan keluar of ion. Okay, so what will happen when stimulus arrive? It will trigger some of the voltage sodium channel to open. Daripada diagram ni awak boleh nampak dia open kat sini. Yang ini adalah voltage gated sodium channel, yang mana it opens when stimulus arrive. Okay, however it is only some, not all voltage gated sodium channel ketika ini open, only some open. Okay, and then what will happen? It will cause the influx or the inflow of sodium ion into axon. Miss, kenapa? Macam mana nak tahu dia into or dia keluar? Influx ataupun dia influx or efflux. Dia masuk ataupun dia keluar. Okay, you have to recall balik yang mana resting state ni, yang mana ingat lagi tak? Yang mana adalah lebih tinggi? Kat mana concentration yang tinggi? Di dalam dan di luar, apa yang tinggi? Okay, ingat balik yang mana outside the axon, it is sodium ion concentration is high, while inside the axon, which is potassium ion, which is high. So kalau kat sini kita lukis balik. Sodium ion tinggi di luar, okay. Potassium ion tinggi di dalam, okay. High concentration inside here, okay, for the potassium ion. Okay, so what will happen? It will trigger some voltage gated channel to open, so there will be influx. Maksudnya sodium ion from outside of axon will enter axon via voltage gated sodium channel. So kita buat N plus kat sini. Okay, however, voltage gated ketika ini, voltage gated potassium channel remain closed. So what will happen? There is no efflux of K plus. Okay, so no efflux of K plus akan berasal daripada dalam ni. So since they're closed, voltage gated potassium channel closed, so kita buat macam ni, the reflection, nampak tak? Bentuk reflection of K plus. So K plus ni reflected, dia tak boleh keluar. Okay, if depolarization, so kalau depolarization, the rising of membrane potential here do not reach threshold level, dalam muka awak ada, dalam ni tak ada. So if it can reach threshold level, action potential is generated, meaning that it will lead to the rising here, to the spike curve here, and it will lead to the action potential. Action potential adalah at the peak here. That is action potential. Itu yang kita nak generate. What will happen if the stimulus is not strong enough and depolarization do not reach threshold level? What will happen to membrane potential? Membrane potential will finally return back. Okay, return back to the resting potential ataupun resting state balik. Dia akan turun balik. Kalau stimulus is strong enough and depolarization is can reach threshold level, so it will proceed immediately to the action potential. That is what we call as actually term dia adalah all or nothing, meaning that it will be all if it can reach threshold level, and which mean that it can reach action potential, or it means nothing when action potential is not generated due to the depolarization is not enough to reach threshold level. So it will return back to the resting state. Itu dia. Okay, next adalah number 3, the rising of action potential on. Ada name is the continuation of depolarization, number 2 tadi tu. Okay, now it is number 3. Okay, what will happen during number 3? Okay, it is what happened is voltage gated sodium channel will open, most of them. Kalau tengok diagram sebelum ni, satu sahaja yang buka. Okay, now most of the voltage gated sodium channel pun buka. So kiri dan kanan buka. Awak boleh nampak. Kalau yang gambar pertama ni, hanya kita nak kata some. So kita diagram ni menunjukkan satu sahaja yang buka. Yang voltage sodium channel yang sebelah kanan ni pun tak buka. Only some open. Now, most of the voltage gated channel open. So what will happen? Okay, it is actually kat sini refer to positive feedback. Positive feedback meaning that it will lead to the, it will increase the effect. So meaning that it once it can overcome threshold level, it enhance membrane potential to become more positive and reach threshold level. So inilah positive feedback kan. Yang lagi tak positive feedback, yang mana contohnya adalah the releasing of oxytocin during childhood to enhance contraction. Itulah dia. Ini adalah another example of positive feedback, which is the rising of action potential. So the influx of the sodium ion will trigger the rest of the voltage sodium channel to open. And then what will happen? More influx of sodium ion into the axon. Okay, so kalau sebelum ni kita kata dia masuk 1, 2 sodium ion kan. Now, dia akan lead to the more influx of sodium ion. Sodium ion lebih banyak masuk. Lebih banyak masuk ke dalam axon. Sodium ion banyak masuk. Okay. So what will happen to the inside of axon? Inside axon, it will be more positive. Awak boleh tengok charge dia. Daripada negative 50, now become almost 50. Ataupun kat sini kita letak sebagai positive 30 millivolt. Okay, so they become more positive inside. Okay. Next adalah number 4. What will happen to the number 4? Number 4 is repolarization. Repolarization. Okay, kalau tadi depolarization, the generation of action potential kat situ. Tapi kalau dia dah reach action potential, now dia akan kembali kepada dia adalah trying to return to the polarization. Polarize ni sebenarnya adalah resting potential tau. Dalam nota awak ada page 144. Okay, resting stage is the polarized maksudnya. So we are going to return back to the polarized. Kat sini kita akan kata sebagai repolarized, the returning. Okay, the returning. Okay, so dia adalah falling phase of action potential after action potential generated. So boleh nampak the decrease here. The decrease here. Okay, what will happen to the channel? Okay, ketika ini awak boleh nampak what will happen to the voltage gated sodium channel? It close. What will happen to the voltage gated potassium? Open pula. So conclusion dia adalah pada number 4 ni, what has opened previously now will be closed. What has been closed previously now it will be open. Okay, so apa yang akan open kat sini adalah K plus channel. Okay, voltage gated potassium channel. So since they open, apa yang dia boleh buat adalah it will be influx of K plus. K plus akan keluar. K plus akan keluar. So, apa yang berlaku kepada Na plus? Okay, Na plus ni, since it is closed, so dia tak boleh masuk. dia tak boleh masuk. So Na plus ni dia kita kalau lukis dalam diagram dalam graf ni dia macam reflected, meaning that voltage gated, sodium channel close. Okay, now what will happen? Awak tengok bila K plus ni become K plus more, K plus efflux, so the inside of axon become more negative. Sebab apa? K plus, the positive charge has the positive charge charger ion have have gone outside. So the inside of the axon become more negative. Okay, so inilah dia. Inside of axon become more negative. So daripada diagram yang kat bawah ni awak boleh nampak voltage gated. Sodium channel sekarang ni dia close. Okay, tutup. So tak ada sodium ion boleh masuk. While for the voltage gated, potassium channel now opens. So adalah efflux of K plus. Sebab apa? Kita tahu K plus kat banyak kat dalam ni, dalam axon. Tapi Na plus banyak dekat dua axon. Okay, so that's why lah kita nak kata bila voltage gated potassium channel open, okay, yang banyak ni akan keluar pergi ke yang sikit. So it is actually by passive kat situ ya, passive transport. Okay, now the last one is undershoot or the hyperpolarization. Undershoot meaning that dia extra negative. Number 5 kat sini. Extra negative, more negative, more minus 70 millivolt. Okay, kat sini dia terlebih negatif. Okay, what will happen kat sini? Okay, kita tahu voltage gated sodium channel close. Okay, ketika ini dia close. Sebab dia dah rentetan daripada number 4 tadi tu. Repolarization. So it remain close. Okay, remain close. And then what will happen to voltage gated potassium channel? Okay, it will slowly close. Okay, kalau tadi dia banyak keluar kan, K plus banyak keluar. Now, dia slowly to close. Bila dia kata slowly to close, meaning that there will be some K plus still voltage gated potassium channel still open, some still open. So it will lead to the some efflux of K plus. Dia ada nak kata K plus ni ambil kesempatan untuk terus keluar. Okay, untuk terus keluar since ada yang masih lagi not yet close, so they will diffuse out from that not yet closed voltage gated potassium channel. Okay, however, most of them has been closed, only some. So kat situ, there will another efflux of K plus happen. So what will happen? Inside of axon become more negative. So that's why lah nampak dia terlebih. Sebab apa? Terlebih K plus yang keluar. K plus ni ambil kesempatan yang keluar lah. Okay, so that's why it become more negative compared to resting state number 1 kat sini. Okay, now the last adalah when all voltage gated potassium channel close. Bila semua dah close, what will happen? Axon membrane now will return to the resting state. Okay, so kita nak kata bila dia dah close, semua sekali dah close, there is no efflux of K plus anymore. So we can conclude that the resting state has taken place. Okay, itulah dia. Alright, so in conclusion, untuk part action potential, I urge you to draw as big as possible on your A4 paper this graph, and then you draw about the efflux or the influx of ion yang mana. Imagine that this line represent axon membrane. Okay, so bahagian luar ni adalah outside axon, and then inside here refer to inside of the axon, and awak lukiskanlah, okay, yang mana yang mana guidance dia adalah Na plus tinggi di luar, concentration of Na plus or sodium ion, and the concentration of potassium ion tinggi kat dalam axon, inside axon. So awak boleh comparekan what happened during number 1, what happened during number 2, number 3, number 4 and number 5. Okay, that's all from me for today. Thank you everyone.